afternoon to all of you. Welcome to our session on pan-European innovation ecosystems. In this session, we will discuss how we can boost Europe's global leadership in innovation while ensuring cohesive growth. And the reality is that the innovation divide remains high in Europe. Less developed regions account for 28% of population, but only 5% of the total R&D investment. We need to mobilize our innovation potential in Europe to be global leaders. And this has been recognized in the new European Innovation Agenda that the Commission adopted very recently on 5th of July this year. So what we want to do today is to discuss how we can boost innovation cohesion and bridge the innovation divide. And therefore, we have a very distinguished panel with us today, starting with the Commissioner Maria Gabriel, Commissioner for Innovation, Research, Culture, Education and Youth. And she was the one leading the innovation agenda in the European Commission. With me in the studio, I have also Lina Galvez Munoz, member of the European Parliament. Welcome, Lina, with us to the meeting. And then in the screen, I have the three male members of the panel, starting with the Minister for Research and Innovation and Digitalization of Romania, Sebastian Ioana Burduja, and Marco Marcula, the Vice President of European Committee of Regions, and Andrea Rukstuk, the Head of Continental Europe for Lend-Lease. So, policymakers, private sector, and I would like to remind to all of you that you are following this session, that you can, of course, have the opportunity to use the Slido and to ask questions that then I will be able to ask to our members of the panel. But I would like to start with the first question to Minister Burduja. So, Romania is deeply committed to reform its R&I system. It's one of your priorities. What are your key bottlenecks that you encounter? What are the key initiatives that you are undertaking to overcome them?
First of all, thank you very much for having me. It's an honor to be here and to address you and Commissioner Gabriel, who's a constant supporter of our efforts. And I'm very excited to join you even remotely. So all my gratitude and on behalf of the whole team. Indeed, we set out a very ambitious reform agenda of our research and innovation ecosystem. It's very helpful that we have the conclusions of the policy support facility of the PSF to basically lay out the main challenges as well as offer some paths forward. So among the key challenges are the fragmentation of our research system. It's in large part inherited from a different era, and we're now working on modernizing that, encouraging partnerships among institutes, with universities, with NGOs, and especially the private sector to facilitate technology transfer, as well as a fairly broad focus on everything under the sun. Whereas we are of the position, and the PSF notes it very explicitly, that we should find out the best and the brightest and reward them, motivate them more, encourage them. And for those who don't perform, find different ways to encourage mergers or, consortia where their skills would be better positioned. It's ambitious because, in 32 years, nobody has managed to tackle this. But we have at our disposal the RRF funding and time pressure and the very good conclusions of the PSF report. So I would say, first, make the system less fragmented, so consolidated. Second, make it more meritocratic. Privilege those, reward those who are doing well. And, the benefit of research and innovation is that it's fairly objective. Evaluating performance is fairly objective. You can look at a number of indicators and figure out who is doing a good job and who could improve. And last but not least, encouraging partnerships with the private sector and making sure that, while fundamental research definitely has its role, we also encourage technology transfer, partnerships with the industry, and deep tech innovation, making sure that it's not just a range of beautiful studies and articles, but actually products and services that improve our economies. Last but not least, truly, I would say human capital is the essence of this whole effort. We are of the opinion that we must first fund mines, and only after hard infrastructure, walls, if you will. We said mines before walls. And that is because without this key ingredient, none of the other efforts matter. And actually, in discussions with Commissioner Gabriel, I realized the importance of brain circulation. I was a big proponent of brain regain, but I think it's even smarter to promote the idea that, our brightest minds go abroad, they learn, they study, they experiment, they take whatever they can, and then they come back and then go again and come back and go to a different place. I mean, it's, I think, so much at the core of the European project and beyond to facilitate this. And through RF funding, we have quite an important program, 160 million euros, to facilitate researchers in the diaspora, but not only Romanian, also European and from other nations, to come to Romania and have important grants. So it's an ambitious effort, it's an ambitious agenda, and we're very proud and grateful to learn from the best practices of other member states, from the Commission's materials on this, and to also offer the lessons learned from our own path.
Great, thank you very much, dear Minister. Brain circulation between pan-European interconnected innovation ecosystem. I put it like this. But the ecosystem is not yet fully interconnected. So, Lina, the question to you is the following. What do you think we could do better in order to address the current fragmentation of the pan-European innovation ecosystem?
So first of all, thank you very much for having me here, for having the opportunity to share what also from the European Parliament we are really working very hard as well with the Commission in order to make Europe this innovation champion. We know we are improving, but still we need to do a lot, and especially we need to have a less fragmented innovation map within Europe, because we know it's more in the north and in west and less in the east and in the south. So we have a very important divide, and obviously one thing we need are instruments. And instruments is obviously funding, but not only funding, obviously also better probably instruments to put together cohesion funds with Horizon Europe funds, because sometimes there are, for this less innovative regions, there are a lot of money going on cohesion funds, but sometimes they don't know, or they have not the capabilities sometimes to use also that funding, that money. Also, normally these are the regions with less private investment, sometimes not less human capital, I will not say that, but probably less capabilities within universities or within regional governments to go with researchers, with innovators in this, let's say, that trip of innovation, and helping them really to get the fund or to be really in this international network. Another thing I think we need is to evaluate and to monitor and to monitoring every single year very much. We really need to know what is going on, why it is working in some regions, why smart specialization in some regions is working and not on the others. What is missing? What is not really, what we are not really doing? And of course, we need better cooperation, obviously private, but especially I'm very worried about universities, how universities also could work on that, how they could join really this effort. And again, I think sometimes is they really, some of them in some regions, they lack the capabilities, not the intellectual and research capabilities, but administrative capabilities, or enough people to help the researchers or the innovators. So we really need to tackle that problems to do it. And obviously what we need is to mobilize all our resources. And for that, obviously, and the Commissioner knows very well, and you know very well, our fight to also to end with the gender divide, because it is very important regarding innovation, in part because women, we are receiving much less money. Mm-hmm. So we really need to rethink what we think for innovation. What are we really funding? We have this pilot project on how where this funding is going to women, why there is not going more for women, and probably we need to also to think which sectors are we financing, because sometimes there are many women that are not in this sort of disruptive sectors, but probably they are innovating in areas that at the end will be also contributing to that disruption. So we really probably need to broaden a bit more on what we think about innovation if we want to close this gender gap, that I think it will be very important also to close the regional divide. Worries me a lot. I mean, I'm coming from a peripheral region, from Andalusia, which is far from the decision-making processes of Europe. And when you talk to very good researchers, very good innovators, they feel how they are far away from this decision-making process. So we really need probably to make that distance shorter in order to make it easier for them, and then to use that talent for a real innovation in Europe. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. A very nice idea. So we have to bring the regions closer to the decision making in Brussels. We need to have a whole governance approach where regional authorities, public sector, private sector, universities, businesses, they are working together. Better instruments to make in reality of the synergies between the different instruments, structural funds, Horizon Europe. I would like to see, I don't know whether Mr. Markula is with us.
Yes.
Yes, you're here because we cannot see you in
here.
the screen. Okay.
Okay. Yes.
Mr. Markula, I think this is a very good introduction to my question to you. Regions and cities are the key drivers of innovation, and in March, the European Commission, together with the Committee of Regions, launched the Partnership for Regional Innovation Pilot Action. Can you tell us more about this initiative and how these new partnerships contribute to promote deep tech valleys and interregional innovation investments?
Okay, thank you. And let me say to Lina as well, so that Andalusia and my own region, Helsinki region, up here in the very north. So we are close as well. We just need to use these internets and emails and so on, so we can collaborate. And our researchers, our people can very easily collaborate together, but make a visit to Sevilla, or you come here as well, so for our innovation camps. I think that the crucial point here is the nature of innovation. Human, based on creativity of all people, everyone. Innovation is much place-based and at the same time universal, global. And the focus is very strongly on to become more transformational, so making changes to happen to reach the targets. And that means stressing the influence and impact. And that's why this Partnership for Regional Innovation, where we have close to 100 regions, many cities as well participating. And it means political level is engaged, it means experts engaged. So we organize more and more collaborative, in-depth innovation processes where we have the full support of the European Union, especially the Joint Research Center. Hundreds of their experts are in our service. And this means, in a way, especially today when we think about these turbulent times, so we need to think about what kind of instruments like creative tension or creative destruction mean. They are effective means to tackle these challenges, inventing something remarkably new. Now, my role representing all the European regions and cities, I want to stress that this new European innovation agenda, it's very crucial to boost the innovative thinking and stimulate action for innovation with the aim of kind of Europe leading the way in science, the industrial base, vibrant startup ecosystems, the kind of things that were mentioned in the opening of these days by the Speaker of the Parliament, Roberta Metsola, and by the Commissioner Maria Gabriel. In making this to happen, so we need, however, to go more deeper in the European innovation policies. And that's why this Partnership for Regional Innovation, bringing these deep tech valleys is crucial. Deep tech here means more science and evidence-based policy making, multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary, without forgetting art and design and business processes as well. In this Partnership for Regional Innovation, so we have jointly created kind of 3 building blocks. Joint Research Center is creating instruments and supporting the implementation and use of these instruments. First, of course, it's understanding the policy frame, kind of strategic policy framework, focusing on our strengths, but getting more out of those, kind of building a dynamic action plan. And then everything is based more on open discovery process, so more entrepreneurial mindset, creating favorable conditions for better engagement of all stakeholders. So industry, large and small, needs to be very heavily involved, and of course all educational establishments, research centers. And then the third part of this PRI, Partnership for Regional Innovation, it's the real action mix with the regions across Europe, large and small again, and more remote, but doing things together, mobilizing meaningful measures to use these different instruments and creating more. And that means really that I even want to conclude that the ambition level needs to be very, very high. It's kind of simplifying a bit, so target needs to be very clear and measurable as well here at the local and regional level, but the EU level as well. And if I briefly say, so it's kind of doubling the impact and making half the throughput time. So we need to be faster, accelerating activities and linking those all around Europe, so we avoid these fragmented projects and move more towards kind of orchestrating the resources and people that we have operating on this. So there's a lot of options and opportunities available now.
Thank you very much. A lot of options and opportunities, working together, using new instruments, testing new instruments, and based on that we can see what will be the next regional cooperation in Europe. But I would like now to turn to Mr. Rockstuhl. Lend-Lease is an international real estate and investment group, and you recently worked on the Milan Innovation District project, where you aim really to go local and to create a major new neighborhood for science and innovation in Milan. Could you please give us more information about the projects and what are the challenges and the successes so far?
Thank you, and thank you for having me sharing a little bit of what we are doing here. I wanted to start maybe by saying that our group, Lend-Lease, is a public company listed in Australia, and we operate across all continents. And in the last few years, we have been specializing in very large urban projects, generally working with in partnership with the public. to develop new part of the city or repositions new part of the cities. And I would say that the race of the cities in creating the next generation of infrastructure to support research, innovation, and education is started officially probably 5 years ago. And we're starting to see the first example come into play. What are these projects? Are generally very large public-private partnership. And mine is actually has been generated on the former Expo 2015 site when the government of Italy invested to create the infrastructure for the Expo event. And we work with them to propose a transformation of the place into a city, which will cater for 60 to 70,000 people when completed. We have now on the project, I'm actually sitting in one of the buildings in the project. We've got an existing recently completed hospital. We have a research center for genomic, and we will have a university campus for 20,000 students of scientific faculties coming. But we have also a very large group of private companies coming together to innovate. So if you ask me, I'm an investor. So my job is to invest into this project, to actually be the private partner to the government to develop this project. But if you ask me today, and where would I invest my last 100 euros into one of these projects around the world, I would definitely put in Europe. And there are very strong fundamentals that are actually underpinning a very fast accelerations of this project that really started 2 years ago at the beginning of the COVID experience, but has accelerated since, no matter the situation. And the reason are, deep quality of talent. And we have access to every talent around the world. So we work in Silicon Valley, we work in Asia, we work in Australia, we work in London, we work in Oxford. So we are everywhere. And I have to say that Europe quality of talent is second to none in our view. The second is fundamental for us, which is the value-driven innovations. It's in Silicon Valley, innovation in a way is sterile, in my view. They invest to build, ways to reach the planets. I think where I see a lot of the focus on innovations in Europe is actually driven by what I call an impact strategy. That means that we are looking at innovation to create and improve the quality of people. And that actually goes back to talent. Young generations are really driven by purpose. And so if we are able to build quality infrastructure to the level that international are available, and this can only happen between a collaboration from public to private, which does not exist in Silicon Valley, for example. It's only private. Europe has this great opportunity. We created in the last 2 years an initiative called Federated Innovation, which is an alliance of private companies. As we say, innovation works if you're building a collaboration between different companies, large, small, SMEs, and startups. And this initiative has generated over the last couple of years hundreds of collaborative projects, pre-market stage, fully funded by private, but in great collaboration with public partners. The importance of the proximity of the research center, the university, the research, and the hospital is fundamental. So creating this dialogue and actually supporting accelerator to become a platform for the European market of acceleration. So again, the importance of dealing with all the stages of support of these new companies that needs to grow, it's going to be very important. Capital will be last of the challenges, in my view, if we get the right mix of infrastructure, provide talents with the right access to platforms, and actually improve collaborations, I think capital will follow. I will not work, and challenges remains some of these elements. So how to collaborate more. And to conclude, probably one point where I see Europe could play a global role is on Europe data space. So can we create a framework where data are made available to an innovation platform to attract talents? And that would be the biggest, more competitive advantage against the world of innovation.
Thank you very much. I take the message that you are ready to invest in Europe. It was very nice message to listen to, because innovation in Europe is value-driven. I think it's crucial, and there is the expectation is to impact the quality of European citizens, and of course we have the best talents. But with these words, I would like to turn to Commissioner Gabriel, who was really the one that put in the middle of this communication how we can address the innovation divide. Dear Commissioner, you heard the other speakers. Please share with us your thoughts and maybe react to what it was already said.
Well, first of all, thank you very much. I think that all your words, that is a song for us, for me and my team, because when I listen to you, I firmly believe that was so important to have the regional innovation ecosystems connected to each other as one of the main flagships. Because for sure, there is key words: talent, value-driven, positive impact for our citizens, to be connected, to cooperate, to be more coordinated. So that's exactly at the heart of this flagship initiative. But initially, remember, dear Anna, when we started really to see this topic, one of the main questions it was where we are. And actually, we have to admit it. These differences between member states and between regions within the member state, it's one of the biggest differences that we have in Europe. So actually we are saying that for innovation, Europe is lagging behind, we need to do more. At the same time, we have already our champions, our very dynamic regions. That means that something is wrong. We need to change something. And where is our potential? Our potential is in our regions, where in all our regions we can see that there is plenty of talents, from women to rural areas. There is values that we share, that's our common fundamental principles, and at the same time, yes, we need much more coordinated action in order this time to unlock the potential, to connect the more to the less innovative regions, and to see how together we can seize the opportunity given by the new wave of innovation by identifying strategic areas, but at the same time by preserving the extraordinary diversities of our regional ecosystems. So for me, that was one of the main points, is that Europe, if Europe wants to be a leader, that means really to be a leader with all regions, with all our member states, and for that we need to connect the different regional innovation ecosystems. Because simply it's not acceptable that today for our startups and innovators, it's more easy to be connected with startups and innovators outside of Europe than with startups and innovators to the next door region. So for that, we need to see how we can, together now with the new European Innovation Agenda, improve the things on the ground. Let's say the good, the positive news. We have nearly 10 billion euros of budget for the regional innovation ecosystems. And the base, it will be the pilot project that Marco Marcola already mentioned. We started it in May, 74 European territories working together for the regional innovative partnerships to see what are the tools and what are the instruments, platforms that we need in order to accelerate, first, to make more stronger the regional innovation ecosystems, but above all, since the very beginning, to connect them to each other. So I think that that's one of the main ambitions in the European Innovation Agenda. And for sure, here we need to see how together we can continue to put an accent on talents, how we can avoid this distinction between big and small, urban and rural. That's something really important. The second thing that I would like to say is, of course, we need to use all the other fundings that are at our disposal. It's good now that we have funding for these 100 regional innovation valleys, and maybe that will be my challenge to our audience today. I would like to see, after the Research Innovation Days, who will be those actors that in their region will say, I would like to be part of these 100 first regional innovation valleys in Europe. But in parallel, we have other very, very strong support, and that's, of course, our Horizon Europe program. Don't forget, for the first time, the widening part in the program, the budget was tripled. We started with 900 million euros. Now we have nearly 3 billion. Thank you very much, the European Parliament, for your strong support. Of course, this funding is here to build capacities, to address weaknesses, and to see how together we can somehow change the pace. I think that was one of the key words. We need to accelerate. We need rapidly to go and to see results in order to convince our citizens that these investments are investments for them. That's not simply for prototypes in innovation. That's something unique that we have in Europe. And of course, here I would like to firmly support what Lina said on the synergies with Cohesion Fund, with European Regional Development Fund, because of course we are fully aware that there is a huge need to promote more what is already here. And this is this document where we are explaining for the first time with clear guidance how they can combine European Regional Development Fund, Cohesion Funds with Horizon Europe is here since the month of July. We presented it during the Czech presidency, and that's not an hazard. That was published the same day with the European Innovation Agenda. That was our signal, and Anna, you worked so much on this topic, and we have had a lot of work ahead of us, I must say, but that was a symbol for us to show that if you'd like to support innovation in Europe, made in Europe, we need to combine different funding instruments. We need to explain them to people, and we need really somehow to sort out of the usual suspects. And for that, this message has a very firm support, dear Lina. So for me, that's something on which we would like to continue to work. What is quite encouraging is that today what we already heard from our participants is that we are on good track. We are looking at the same direction. Somehow we already identified the different elements that are key for Europe. But now, of course, what is important is the implementation. I look at our participant coming from this world of investors, because we need so much, you and the other actors. There is a need of platform for talents, for exchange of information. Yes, we would like to work on this, and that's why our starting point is the European Innovation Council Forum. That's our ambition, to transform this into a platform where together with all of you, we can continue to implement and to co-create solutions. But of course, we need to continue to work together in order to have this platform of talents where the access, the exchange, the simple cooperation and coordination are the key words if you'd like to see better results. But that was really very, very encouraging. And again, I would like to say a big thank you, because I feel the support in your words. At the same time, yes, you are giving us some homework, dear Anna. And yeah, count on us to continue to work in this direction, because definitely for me, if you'd like to seize the opportunities that are given to us now with the new wave of innovation, this time we have to do it not only for 1 or 2 regions in every single member state, but for all our regions, but really taking into consideration their diversity, adapting the solutions, identifying together strategic areas, and above all, with 2 key words, talents and values. That's something that maybe for me is defining the innovation made in Europe.
Thank you very much. Very enthusiastic as always, and very much from your heart. I think, this intervention. I would like to ask you, you mentioned implementation, and this is now the challenge, that we have to deliver what it is in the paper. And this is a challenge from the funding point of view, it's a challenge from the coordination point of view, it's a challenge for member states as well, I believe. So I would like to turn back to Minister Burduja and to ask you, you heard about synergies between Horizon Europe and structural funds, you heard about priorities. So what do you think it will be the key element in order to be able to deliver this very challenging innovation agenda, in particular, to create these 100 regional innovation valleys and to interconnect them, to make them work together?
Well, I would like to echo what the distinguished participants noted, and Commissioner Gabriel. You need there's a lot of information, a lot of different tools and instruments. And certainly you need this coordination effort that the commissioner is spearheading, not just from the EU level to the national level, but obviously from the national level to the regional level and the local level. And it all needs to be integrated into a coherent effort. I fully resonate with this bewilderment of why our startups need to go far in order to seek a lot of funding, in order to succeed all the way through the end, when there's so much opportunity on the EU market. And I think maybe we need to explore more what those reasons are at the grassroots level. So, coordination, integration, but also attitude. And I think that's something we can work on with our entrepreneurs. We have to be willing to fail. Our entrepreneurs, our startups have to be willing to fail. Now, they have access to funding, they have access to know-how, they can talk to each other very quickly. There is an innovation ecosystem across Europe. But, the fundamental ingredient to any innovation effort is this willingness at the level of the entrepreneur to fail, to take your ideas, fail, and if you fail, you get up and start again. And I think this is where perhaps there's more to do, and it's not necessarily just in our mandates. It has to do with education, it has to do with different aspects of our governments. But I think it is so important, and without this, we could design the best policies on paper, but in practice, we will not end up with a pipeline of ideas of entrepreneurs and hopefully unicorns that we all seek to nurture.
Thank you very much. And indeed, this is why the European Innovation Council has been put in place in order to help startups and scale-ups to try, and if necessary, to fail. But out of these failures, we will have the big success stories for Europe.
I would like to react
here
because
please.
I think that it's really important, something that is very often linked to this need of change of our mind. Because in Europe, yes, it's true, Minister, when you fail, very often it's considered as a fatality. In other parts of the world, that's considered as an experience. And that's why, for me, we need to work together with education system, with entrepreneurs, with member states, to have this ecosystem approach to learn that to fail, that's an experience. That makes you stronger for the next project, for the next company, for the next phase that you would like to do, to realize or to face. And that's something that we need to work really a little bit more.
And I would like to ask Mr. Rookstool that he is working with innovation ecosystem actually. Do you dare to fail?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, and I question the same cultural point to some of the entrepreneur in Silicon Valley when we started, and the answer is very clear. In Europe, you have cities that have not very tall buildings, and the story is if you have not a tall building, even if you jump off the last floor of your building, you're not going to die, so you start again. So what are you worrying about? And it's really a mentality. It's really where we're trying to do a lot of work to change. And I think it's creating a success story is where we're really working very hard. I think where we lack is we're trying to resolve everything at the same time, rather than looking at 2 or 3 great examples that we can bring forward in terms of collaborations, private-public partnership, and actually use that as an example. There are many failures every day happening here. The young generation is less worried about failing. Corporations are changing every day towards the idea of accepting, failures. I think the key that I heard today as well is speed. So if you fail fast, that's okay. If it takes 5 years to fail, it's then when it becomes a problem, because that's what you need to be worried about. So speed of innovation is where I think we should look at simplifications, collaborations, platform, access to infrastructure, and exchange, because speed will win on everything. And I think when you fail fast, it's less of a problem.
Thank you very much. We are still 4 minutes left. Nevertheless, we have some questions in the Slido. And I would like to ask the first question that I think it's interesting. We discuss a lot about universities today. So the question is, how do you see the role of universities in supporting the establishment of a strong pan-European innovation ecosystem? Lina?
Well, I think the role of universities is key, both because research is mainly done, or a big part is done within departments, within universities, and also education or higher education. So we really need the capacities, the capabilities, and people really to jump and to close this gap. But as I was saying before, I think there are universities which are very central or in a very well-established innovation ecosystem with a lot of private investment as well. So very well directed towards what has to be done or what is needed. And there are others that are in ecosystems that are less innovative, and probably we really need to help those universities much more than others. And probably some of them miss the capacities, because I think we are dealing with something very important, that are the inequalities within Europe. And we will not have a European project, a real European Union, unless we deal or we end up these inequalities. And innovation tends to concentrate. So we really need to break that.
Absolutely,
because
but I would like to react on that, because first, what we have now, and that's here only from 3 months, we have a European network of innovative universities. And I would like to say to all our universities, small or big, this network is open to join. So in only 3 months, because I announced the creation of this network in the month of June, they already started to work. By the way, during this Research Innovation Day, for the first time, they will present what they already start to think together. And their first meeting was in Spain 2-3 weeks ago. So just to tell you that this network is open, there is no big, there is no small, there is no very well developed or less developed. That if you wish to show us that universities have a key role to play in the new European innovation agenda, this network is open for you. The second thing, I would like really to bring to your attention the importance of our European Universities Alliances. Yesterday I met one of those alliances, EU Dress, and in this alliance we have universities of applied sciences. We don't have so much, but especially they are paying attention to regional universities, universities that are not so well known, but now they decided to work together, to create together incubators, to have together programs, to have different competitions. So for me, that's one of the directions in which we would like to insist. It's good that we have the European Universities Alliances. What is important is to preserve their openness in order really to have new partners, and that was the case this year, that will be the case next year too. But on the other side, to encourage the different alliances to start to work together. And that was one of my surprises in Salamanca, in Spain. When I met 6 of those alliances, they announced to me that for the first time, they would like to create an incubator only for rural areas in order really to address the skills, the competencies that are needed in those areas, but with the driving force with education and innovation. And they told me it's first time, we don't know what will be the result, but we would like to go in this direction. So yes, for me, universities are key driver for the European innovation agenda.
Thank you very much. I think we are at the end of this session with very inspiring words from all of you. I would like to thank you. Let's work all together to deliver these 5 flagships in the innovation communication, the 25 actions, and then through that, we will be able, maybe in a couple of years, I hope, to see some improvement and to not speak anymore about so high innovation divide, but more about the success of our innovation cohesion.
In a couple of years, but not 5. We all agree we need to change the speed and to change the mentality. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.